What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. Branamier, Courtney, as always, here with Paul Mclain.
Let's go.
Helping people level up their life in all the areas that matter most: faith, family, fitness, finance, and franchise. Looking good, bro. I like the hat, dude.
Do you?
Bright red. I got the bright blue hat on.
It was golf day. You know how Tiger Woods used to wear the red
That's
polo?
right, baby.
I wore the red hat.
That's right. That's right. Well, dude, I golfed today too, and I didn't feel like a Tiger Woods. I'll tell you that.
Well, I didn't feel like him. I just trying to look like him a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like what did Jerry Rice say? If you look good,
you play good,
feel good. Yeah. So
I don't know how true it is though. You look good and you play mediocre as far as golf goes. But hey, listen, if you're listening in right now, we encourage you to turn it up, lean in, take some notes, share it with a friend, like, comment, subscribe. We're doing our best to bring you value, not just entertainment, but really impartation, and help you get to where you know God can take you. There's something on the inside of us. We say it all the time, that there's another level to your life. And so whether that's in business or finance or just at home, we want to help bring our experiences and our conversation to your ears. And so it's no different today. We're going to do something that I think is pretty cool, man. We're going to give people 5 ways to be a human highlighter. And so we were kind of talking about this a little bit, and really how to encourage people, how to uplift people, how to speak life into people. Because I think it's so easy that as we live lives and we kind of isolate ourselves, what we naturally do by default is highlight all the bad things. Yeah. Right? We highlight all of our flaws. You could have a good day, but one bad thing goes wrong, and that's the thing you share with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing that you go home and you dwell on. At least that's for me, right? Yeah. A million good things can be going on, and then one, like the tire goes flat. Or you get that one phone call that's just like something happened in the business, and that's what you tend to highlight for the week or for the day. But I think that, man, we got to be people, and we got to have people in our lives that can highlight the best in us, that can call out, the God qualities in us, right? And so let's talk about it, man.
Let's do it, man.
Let's go.
Well, I think you said it right, bro. Like, I think if most people take a look back and they say, like, what am I highlighting for themselves? It's probably the negative things. Yeah. And then oftentimes, because that's kind of the lens that we're looking at ourselves with, we typically look at others with that same lens, right? And what does it lead to? Like gossip, right? Yep. And like, hey, that person's this or that. Man, it takes some high intention to say, man, I want to be the person that brings out the best in others. Like, I want to be, when I go into the room, others are better because my presence, my words were in that room. And I think it's a crucial thing. I remember going to this Maxwell event, and it was a big leadership event that they had hosted, and Maxwell had talked about this one guy, how he was just a highlighter. Like anytime like somebody's around, he'd find like even if there were so many bad things about this individual, he's like he'd find the one great thing, and then he would highlight it. And the cool thing about what he did, he had him on stage, and he got him like this super expensive, unique highlighter. That's cool. And I thought, like, that's kind of a way to highlight as well, Absolutely. Man. Like finding something that you see in somebody and then tying it to like a gift, right? Like it just validates the fact that, oh yeah, that is who I am. 100%. And I feel like that's what we're called to do. If you're a person that wants to help others go to the next level. And the truth is, if you haven't really dived into that, man, and you feel discouraged or you feel like you're lacking fulfillment, do that. Yeah. like instantly when you're an encouragement to others, you feel encouraged. Absolutely. Like I had this habit that I've gotten not as good as I used to be at it, but it was a part of my morning discipline. And it was every morning I wanted to send a text of just like of appreciation, of encouragement, just kind of highlighting somebody else. Yeah. And dude, that highlighted my whole day. And you probably got some of those text messages where I was like, bro, I just want to tell you I love you, appreciate you. Man, like you've been a big part of my life, like where we're going, like the message just something where I'm sitting back saying, how can I be an encouragement? Because dude, I know I need it. Absolutely. I remember hearing I can't remember who said it, but it was one of these speakers that was talking about. It was one of the speakers I didn't agree with. He's like, you shouldn't need encouragement if you're going to go build something big. And I'm like, dude, like if you've got breath, you need encouragement, man. Like I don't necessarily wake up and say, well, if Brand doesn't call me today and give me some motivation, I'm not. But heck, if you call, I feel like I'm highlighted. Right. Like my gifts are highlighted, my abilities highlighted. I've now got more of an ability to go out there and accomplish my day. Right. Well,
dude, I think it's especially like in our organization, our church, or even a business setting, culture matters, right? And culture either happens by design or by default. And I think that when you just let your culture happen by default, like it falls to the level of the people within. And so if they're not intentionally, speaking life and building up, there's a million different personalities going on, and there's really no culture. But when you walk into like a church or a business or an office and the culture's right, it's because people are walking around and they're highlighting each other. Like people are walking in the room and they're greeting, they're high-fiving, they're complimenting. It's like why we do 2-minute turn-up at church. So like, hey, give some compliments right now these next 2 minutes. Go shake some hands. Go highlight what you see. Nice hat. Like it's just all these little subtle things that you don't really, you don't think of it in the moment, but what you're actually doing is like speaking life and encouraging others, and then they're more likely to return the favor. And the next thing you know, like the rising tides raises all ships, right? And so that's what we're trying to do in people's lives. I know for us, like it's hard to be the one negative person if everyone's being positive, right? And so I think as a leader in a business or any organization, man, you got to be the brightest highlighter. You got to be calling out the best in people. So here's the first one that we wrote down, and it's number one like this: speak life, not labels. Yeah. Right. And so to me, when I see speak life, not labels, man, the world does a real good job at putting labels on us. Yeah. Like there's a business failure. Oh, there's a divorced couple. Oh, there's a bad parent. There's an addict, or there's a whatever it is. The world does a great job at putting labels on us, and if we're not careful, man, we'll wear the labels around, and we'll be proud of the labels, and we'll start to like think that's our real identity until someone comes and sees past what the world has put on you and sees what God has put on you, right? And so I think it's so important just as leaders to call out not what people have been through or their experience. Like just because you've experienced it doesn't mean it's true. Yeah. Like just because you've been an addict doesn't mean you are an addict. Right. Just because you feel depressed doesn't mean you are depressed. Just because you failed at business doesn't mean you're a failure. And so you need people, I know, like you just said, we need people to highlight the good in us to remind us that, no, we are greater than our struggle, right? And so it's just so important to speak life. And I think that's been one of the core tenets of my walk in faith. It's like, man, Jesus didn't walk around just beating everyone up. He walked around building people up. Yeah. Like he was strengthening them spiritually. He was strengthening them emotionally. He was like, not giving everyone passes for their mistakes, but he was like highlighting the good in them, saying, hey, you got a better life than this. Like I'm here to rescue you, redeem you, to set you free. Like your life is so much more valuable than the way you're living it, right? And what was he doing? He was highlighting the new level in people. And so I think as a leader of any organization, man, we got to speak life and not labels.
It's kind of like if you wear a label long enough, it becomes a lid to your next level. Yeah. It's like now you can't grow past it. And I think that a lot of times, even people, it's easy to kind of, you heard that one thing that a teacher told you in 4th grade, man, like you're dumb, right? and it sounds fun, but dude, like that's the truth, man. Like a lot of times it could be a parent, it could be usually it's somebody in some kind of like higher authority, right? That says something and you really believe because of their position that what they say has validation to it, and then you wear that. And so I think that a lot of times when you're going around and speaking life, you're possibly destroying a label that's kept somebody from their next level. Yep. And you might not even realize it, but those words, now that they're hearing that, you're giving them a different label, so to speak, to live up to. Dude, talk about that story real quick. You shared it maybe like 3 weeks ago about the kids and the teacher. And the teacher gave them like she spoke life over them. They were like a classroom of kids.
Yeah. So there was this, I think it must have been 2nd or 3rd grade. She just took over the class like midway through the year, and she stepped into the class and realized that every single one of her students was reading well below their actual age group, like two grades down. So let's say it was 3rd grade, like they were all reading at a 1st grade level, which is not good at all. And so she realized that as they were out on the playground, like her 3rd graders, they really looked up to like the 4th graders and the 5th graders. And so she had this idea that when the kids come back into class, I'm going to not address them as 3rd graders, right? I'm not going to address them as what they are. I'm going to address them as who they aspire to be. And so instead of calling them 3rd graders, I'm going to call them like budding scholar 5th grade student. Like, here's my budding scholar 5th grade student. And because they looked up to the 5th graders, and she's like, I'm going to make you guys all into 5th graders. And so they're like, yeah, let's go, baby. We're going to be not third graders anymore. We're going to be fifth graders. And so she just began to address them as scholars, which she taught them what a scholar was. It was like someone who's excited to learn, someone who's good at learning, someone who reads very well. And every day they weren't allowed to call each other by name. They had to call each other like Scholar Mclain or Scholar Courtney or Scholar, like whatever their last name was. So she began to speak a new label into them, a new level into them. And within, I think it was like, by the end of that semester, 3 years, like they were all reading, not just at their grade level, but like almost at a fifth grade level, is because the teacher was speaking life into them and really reminding them of who they are and who they could be. And I think, again, it's just a story that highlights words matter. Like our words, like the Bible says, is life and death is in the power of the tongue. And you will eat its fruits. And so you can choose to speak life or you can choose to speak death. And the reality is most of the time, death is our default.
You're right.
Right. So we have to be so intentional about not only speaking life to other people, but speaking life to you. Like sometimes we're our harshest critic, right? Because we know us. Mm-hmm. We know the things that we say that look good on the highlight reel, but then we know all the behind the scenes. And so that's why we talk about like positive affirmations and gratitude and reading the word, is because those speak life into us and remind us that we're not dumb first graders.
Bro, that's so good, man. I mean, and this is so applicable for everybody. Yeah. Like as you're talking about this third grade classroom, I'm thinking about like the clients that I would serve with financial services and knowing that a lot of times I'd sit with a family, a husband and a wife, and I don't know what their dynamic is. I don't know what's going on, if there's strife, if there's resentment, and getting a protection plan in place where if they pass, they're covered. It's kind of like a love thing, right? Like it's sacrificial. Like I'm doing this for you, right? I'm not going to be here, and I want to make sure you're protected. And I remember just having clients where the guy'd be like, dude, I don't care if I die. They can bury me in the backyard. I got a full acre, put me in the backyard, like just something like that. And I realized that like, okay, I got to give them a different label to live up to. So, I would say like, listen, Bob, I'll tell you this much, man. This is true. They could bury you in the backyard, but man, I saw the way you looked at your wife, and out of any guy that's going to choose that route, it ain't you. Yeah. I could tell, especially why I'm here is because you care enough about your family to make sure they're taken care of. So you can't mess with me on that one because I could just tell. And instantly, like, you're like, what is he going to say? No, I really don't care about it. Like, like I was just given a different out. Like, that's not who you are. Because the truth is this, man. Like, dude, we're all so complex, dude. There's all so many different, area, like different seeds, so to speak, that we have. And when something is spoken over that seed, it's given life. It's now going to be birthed, right? And we all have bad seeds and good seeds, right? There's not one person that's like, that person was just made bad, or they got more bad seeds than good seeds. No, maybe their environment and the people that they're coming into contact with, or maybe they just don't know. They've programmed themselves into this label. They got some good stuff in them too. Yeah. And if you can speak to that good, what you magnify will be multiplied. So if I can start to magnify some of the good, man, I get to multiply it. And it's the same thing for kids. Think about, like, how old is Bronx now?
11.
11. So, I don't know how the boys are yet because I got Psalms 3. But I know when the girls turn 12, it's different. Yeah. It's a different situation. It's like, and there's so much more combativeness, and they're trying to mature. And I thought about Parker the other day. I was like, was Peyton like this? And I was like, she was like this, right? And it's one of those things where I have to intentionally not even get caught up in my emotion, because I get frustrated. Like, she ain't listening. She just did this, and I mean she's a great girl, but overall like different than when she was 8. Yeah. Right. And so
she's not trying to lay on your lap anymore.
No, so, it's different. It's just, the attitude's there. And so it's like, I have to intentionally say, okay, I got to get away from what I'm seeing, the emotion that I got from what I'm seeing. And I got to intentionally address that. But then, dude, I have to do such a better job in finding a good moment, a moment of what I know she is, which I'm always like, sweetheart, you're the light of the world. Like, you're full of joy, you're positive, you're so friendly. So now I gotta, it might not be all the time now that I'm experiencing, because I'm not at school with her, right? Maybe that's where, but I'm dad, right? Yeah. So when I see it, dude, I gotta pour it on. And I would just encourage everybody, if you're building a team, a business, a family, man, and you're like, you don't understand this person though. Like, you don't get it. This person, you don't understand. It's like, I got it. Yeah. I know. I would just encourage you, to find when they really search, put a filter on where what is good is so magnified because you're looking for it. Because if you're not looking for it, you're not going to find it because it's hard to find when there's so much other stuff.
Yep. That's good, dude. I love, and I've talked about that a little bit before as far as the parent-child relationship. It's like, especially when they're at that age and you call out like the good in them, the truth is like, they might be like, Dad, stop. Like, Dad, be quiet. Dad, you're annoying, right? Because I do that with Bronx every morning. Like, we have this little thing. I drive him to school now and go, hey, dude, give me 3 things, like, motivate me for the day. Uh-huh. He's like, what? And I'll just like, dude, come on, give me some encouragement. I need some encouragement. He's like, all right, you're good. I'm like, I'm good. Let's go, baby. I'm trying to get him hyped up, And he's like, Dad, stop. And then I'll do it back to him. See, they may not show like they appreciate on the outside, but like when you're not with them, like when Parker walks into a room at night, she's going, man, Dad loves me. Man, Dad saw that in me.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, we all seek that validation from like those we look up to. And so it might be awkward or uncomfortable for you, but the more you do it,
good, man.
Like,
I love what you just said.
It's
that's
true,
a great
man.
takeaway. So practical.
100%.
That'd be the challenge this week. Do that in the car ride, to school.
It's even like the text you're talking about, man. But here's number 2. So number 1, speak life, not labels. Number 2, and then we've already kind of touched on it, celebrate the small wins. I think sometimes we wait to celebrate these massive big wins. And man, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, throw a party when there's a big win, but like we overlook all the daily wins every single day. Like, sometimes just showing up on time is a win. Sometimes just having that date night is a win. Sometimes this all these little things that we just overlook as normal. But like, man, when you can call out, especially when someone's struggling, someone's going through a difficult season, it's just like, hey man, I saw how you encouraged that person today. I saw how you showed up on time. Like, I'm proud of you. I mean, I saw how you didn't make any sales today, but dude, you put in the effort today. Like, you got it. Like, you hit the phones. Like, celebrate all those little wins. And again, it's just this speaking life into them. And I think that people will become what they hear, right? And so if you're celebrating the small things, like, man, maybe I do have a good work ethic. Mm-hmm. And the next morning they're gonna be like, I can't be late because he called me out on being on time yesterday. And then the more you celebrate the little things, then it's even better to celebrate the big things. So
I love that. Hey, the one thing I'll say to that, guys, is like when we talk about like what you magnify will multiply. Like when we do these little things, or we're working with a team or in a family. Every time somebody does something, that's casting a vote for who they start to see themselves to be, right? And if they do something that says, hey, I do what I'm supposed to do, they start to think of myself as I'm a person that does what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
And so I would just say set people up to have that small win, right? It could be like, your kids, like I tell, Penelope, like, sweetheart, make sure in the morning, all you got to do is just make your bed, right? And then it's a little simple thing, and I'll kind of nudge her to do it, even if she forgot. But now I could pour it on. Now I got something like, hey, I told you. So you can set people up to do it as well. And man, I'm just telling you guys, it's so much fun watching people like develop in the best versions of them coming out, even in the team dynamic when you're working with agents or staff or whatever, just intentionally saying, how can I set them up with some small wins? Because, dude, you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
Like, nobody has a market corner for life. And so somebody might be going through a really struggling time and they're not seeing the wins that they normally see. Right, they're struggling with what they normally accomplish, but if you could set them up, and maybe that's exactly what they need to kind of get out of that mental rut that they're in. So I mean, I think that's powerful, man.
That's good. Number 3, the third way to be a human highlighter: listen with intent. Man, I'm finding myself on the phone more and more lately, especially just shepherding people, being there for people, and oftentimes I find myself listening way more than I'm speaking. And people will leave that conversation going, man, I appreciate the words that you've spoken to me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I barely said anything. I kind of just let them get it out and let them pour their heart out. I was just a listening ear. But I think when you're that safe space, when you're a listening ear, when you're listening not to speak, but you're listening with intent, you're listening to not just reply and have something good to say, but you're listening to really genuinely hear their heart. I think people can see that. I think people know when you're in a conversation with someone and they actually care, right? And so a way to highlight someone is to simply listen to them. I did a funeral service a couple of weeks ago, and I was encouraging the congregation, like, man, now is not the time to try to give all the answers to the family. Because when tragedy happens, like, sometimes what we do is try to excuse everything. And I'm like, man, this is not the time to try to have all the answers. Like, this may just be a time for you to just listen. Like, just sit back and be a shoulder to cry on, right? Be a listening ear. I tell a story. There's a little boy who his mom and sister, or his mom and him pulled up in the driveway, and next door is an old man who just lost his wife, and he's out front sitting on the porch, and the little boy, he's like 5 or 6 years old. They pull up in the driveway with his mom. He's like, "Mom, can I go sit with the neighbor? He's out front." And so she's like, "Sure, go over there." And so the little boy walks over there, and he pulls up a rocking chair and kind of sits with this guy for what seems like a couple hours, and they're just sitting there, and the mom's kind of at a distance watching because the old man just lost his wife. And so the little boy comes back over after probably 20, 30 minutes, and the mom goes, "What did you guys talk about?" And the little boy looks at his mom and goes, we didn't talk at all. I just simply helped him cry." And it's like, man, what a powerful picture, that sometimes you don't need to say anything. Like, you just got to be the person there for someone else to speak, and you're just that helpful ear, and what did that do? It didn't necessarily highlight the boy's day or the mom's day. It highlighted the old man's day. Like, man, I had someone there for me, with me, And that's so I think, man, as we listen more than we speak, especially in this generation, I said it last week, man, everyone's got one of these now. Everyone's got a microphone. Everyone's got a platform. Everyone has something to say. But sometimes, man, we got to be a better listener to make someone else's day.
I love that, dude. So, it kind of goes back to, like, if you want to, impress people, you talk about the successes. If you want to impact people, you talk about the failures, right? And I think it's so often we want to give this advice like we've got it all figured out. But when we can sit back and then listen and then relate and say, "Listen, I hear your struggle, man. Like, I felt that same way." Yeah. And the response should be more of one of connection and empathy, right? Because we've actually heard them. But we can't ever think to say, "Hey, how can I relate to that person?" if you're so focused on what you want to tell that person, right? So I think that listening ear, man, where you sit back and say, like, let me really just kind of hear their heart in it. Well, now you've got the ability to say, like, I've been in your shoes, man, and I know, and this is what I found. So when you do introduce maybe some information to them, it's from a standpoint that they understand that they've been understood.
That's right.
And once they've been understood, now you can really sow into them. But if you're just worried about what you're going to say, oftentimes, man, when you actually say it, it doesn't land on fertile ground.
It's good. Here's number 4. The fourth way to be a human highlighter: pray for and with people. This is good, man. I think this is one of those things that's missing in culture.
Yeah.
That when you do this with people, especially in a setting that's outside of the normal, and this messes people up in the best way possible. I think this is one of the ways to actually live a set apart life, is when there's conflict, when there's struggle, when there's because like what you said, no one has the market cornered on life. Like, we're all going through something, no matter what it looks like on the outside. And when that friend or that coworker comes to you, man, if you pull them aside and pray for them, number one, you're inviting God into the situation, but you're reminding them, like, man, you're not alone in this. Like, you might go home by yourself, but you're not by yourself. And I think this is something that I try to practice more than I preach, is like, man, we got to be people of prayer. We got to be people that invite God into the situation, and invite his power, his presence, his wisdom, his love, his grace into our lives. And I think, man, when I don't know, for me, when people pray for me, when I'm going through a hard time, I leave going, man, I needed that. Yeah. Like, I feel better. Absolutely. I feel stronger. I'm reminded that I'm not alone. I'm reminded that I do have what it takes. I'm reminded that I can do all things through Christ. I'm reminded that I'm an overcomer. I'm reminded of all the things, of all the labels that God says I am and not the world says I am. And I think when you could get out of your little bubble, because what do? Man, we think in our heads, like, man, I don't have the words to pray. Like, I don't know what to say. When we get out of ourselves and begin to remind ourselves, like, it's no longer us who live, but Christ who lives in us. And it's not about us. It's about the person you're trying to encourage, like, through the Word of God. Then I think, man, what a way to highlight that, like, there is more to their life than what their struggle is or what they're going through. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think the one thing I want to point out before we hit number 5, dude, is that what you said was so spot on, because I think most people would agree with that. Like, hey, sometimes the best answer is just to pray.
Yeah.
Like, let's just pray. Let's get God in the middle of this situation. Let's have you be reminded. But I think oftentimes it's so easy to be like, well, what if I don't say it the right ways? And you're kind of thinking about, and I remember going through that discipleship program and those courses that we went through, 10 years ago, probably now. And we kind of got challenged with that, right? And so I remember thinking and feeling that, like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. It was probably back, what was that, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when we had gone through, I think it was OSL 1. Mm-hmm. And what I realized as I kind of continued to go through the discipleship class and God was highlighting all kinds of different things to me, it's like, that's because I'm focused on me. Like, that's an ego thing. I'm worried about like how I look.
Yeah.
It's like, see, and I think that oftentimes when we're struggling with that, it can even be before you go give a talk or speech or if you're worried about like, if I'm going to mess up? Well, you're not focused on the people, right? And this is going back to the whole concept of being a human highlighter. You cannot be a human highlighter if you're looking at yourself.
Yep.
You're not. What you're going to do is like draw like a Sharpie mustache on them. It ain't going to look good, right? It's going to be worse than you thought. Like, you got to be intentional to say, okay, thank God this isn't about me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm only in this moment right now called to serve this person. And it doesn't matter nothing. So when you do that and you put your focus on them, well, now you can really highlight, and then you could, you're not going to be tripped up with like the way your future you looks if the future you messes up and how that future you feels. That's ego, right? And so I feel like that's an important thing for everybody to know. Like, you don't have to think about it. Like, you're just there to serve. Yep. If you're just there to serve, man, it becomes easy. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to you just do it, right? So
I love it. And here's the last one. We kind of been sprinkling this point all throughout, but it's point out the good in others. Man, when you see someone struggling, you call out the good in them. You remind them of who they are. You call out their strengths. You acknowledge their hard work. You acknowledge the things that they've, the good things that they're doing. You point out the good in people, and it's just a reminder that sometimes the world could be cruel, right? The world could be like what trends the most. Negative news,
yep.
Right? I don't know if there's a news station that just like, hey guys, here the next hour we're just going to point out the great humanity, like all the good things going on in your city. Yeah. No, you watch for 5 minutes of like this car wreck and this murder and this burglary and this all these crazy things, because we like the for whatever reason we're like addicted to the negative. That's what sells. That's what, the headlines sell. And so I think when you can point out the good in people, again, it's just such a different way to live. When you can look past all the negative stuff going on and you can call out the good, man, you just set yourself apart. And so I think as in our organization, in your business, even in your home, like, begin to call out the good. I know for me, when life gets overwhelming at home, I mean, dude, you know better than anyone. You got 5 kids, I got 4. So, dude, it gets loud sometimes, yeah. and I can find myself only calling out like, dude, you didn't take out the trash, and you didn't make your bed, and you didn't listen to your mom. And what am I doing? I'm just adding to the negativity, and I'm just like, I'm only getting back the thing that I actually don't want, yeah. because it just makes their attitude worse, and they're right. So if I can begin to flip the script and call out the good in them and look past all the bad things that they've done or the things that they didn't do, then, like you said, they begin to see themselves in a different way and begin to walk in who they actually are, not what they've experienced.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's powerful, brother. I mean, it really is. And I think for everybody on here, the question to ask is like, are you putting yourself in environments where others are calling out the good in you? Because oftentimes, right, you become a product of your environment. And so if others are calling out the good in you, oftentimes you're going to probably be more inclined to call the good in others. But if your group of people you're always hanging out with, man, is always like messing with each other and speaking, negative or these labels that you really need to have lifted in order to go to your next level, it's almost going to be impossible, man. Like I've always said, like, show me the people you spend the most time with. I'll show you your life in the next 5 years. That's where it's going to be going. And the one thing I want to invite you guys to is June 5th, right?
That's right.
We've got a leadership event that we're going to be putting on. And the goal is to set this environment up where you walk in and those seeds of greatness that God has put into you, man, they're highlighted, right? They're watered. They've got the right nutrients. Some light hits it, and it goes to the next level. And so make sure you put that down on your calendar. June 5th. This is an environment, guys, where we want to see you step in. And when you step out, you're way better than you were when you stepped in. And that's the whole goal, is this growth, journey that we should be on. And the one thing I'll tell you guys is this: like, I know for myself, being 19 years of age, getting into the insurance business, I really kind of stepped into a different environment. The environment was really set on personal growth, personal development. I got to get around different people that were really just going after these new levels in their life. And when I did that, all of a sudden things started to shift and things started to change. And so I would just encourage you to put that in your calendar and make that next step. And what I'd also say is this week, as you go get in these different circles, I believe you're going to be tempted I'll say this, when you start to level up and you go back around people that you used to hang out with, it's called like false position. So it's hard not to go back and act in such a way based off the labels that you had with them, just to make sure that they don't feel uncomfortable and they see you as you used to be seen. And so there's certain people that you're always going to spend time with, like certain family members that you're going to still see them. But when I started limiting time with certain people and intentionally saying who are the most influential people in my life that actually help magnify my gifts, that help elevate me, when I'd go back around those people, the real true validation that's not my label I hold any longer, was acting in a way that was exemplifying the new me. And so I wasn't dropping my behavior, dropping my disposition where my character matched what it used to be. I was no longer doing that. I was stepping in and saying, no, this is who I am. And I didn't care what they thought. I didn't care if they thought I was acting like I was better. It wasn't that. It was just, no, that's not me no more.
Yeah.
I'm not that person that you thought I was. I've got a new version I'm going to. And I just encourage everybody to kind of keep that in mind. When you step into those circles and environments where there's a different version of you, because everybody's got different versions. Like you might be a different version of you slightly with Mariah, and overall there's just a little bit shifts. You want to make sure
I'm definitely different with her.
Yeah, I think so. Especially after like 10 o'clock. Yeah. But the goal is like let's continue to keep that character and that character strong. 3 real quick things I want you guys to focus on as we wrap up. I want some actionable things, because like Brian, you say often like, hey, we don't want to just inspire you. We want to give you these practical steps where you say, okay, this week I can go and do this to level up. So choose 3 things to highlight in yourself this week. So that's point number 1. That's the challenge. Choose 3 things about yourself to highlight. And it's uncomfortable, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. And the crazy thing is, I don't know if this happens for you, Brian, but oftentimes the thing that God's gifted me with is the thing that I don't really see as my gift. It's the thing that I judge the hardest about me. And it's not until you kind of pause and say, oh, no, this is the gift that God's given me.
Yeah.
I've just been overly critical because it's my gift.
Right.
And so what are the 3 things? Highlight yourself. Number 2 is find 2 people you can intentionally encourage or affirm. So find 2 people, right? It could be family, people at work. Find 2 people you can intentionally encourage and affirm. And number 3 is reflect. Are you highlighting problems or potential? So those are the 3 takeaways.
I love it, man. I couldn't have said any of that better myself, so I'm glad you said it all. But I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you for bringing out the best in me, for calling out the good in me, for calling out the potential in me. And man, I think that's why getting around the right people is so important. And if you're listening to this right now, let's call out some good in you, man. I don't care how bad your week has been, man. Better days are ahead. We've always say this at church, man. The best is yet to come, and we believe that. It's not just a cliche, but we believe that if God still has breath in your lungs, then He still has work for you to do. And so, forget the past and move forward, because there is a new level of your life to get to. And so we appreciate you for watching. Like, view, comment, subscribe. Paul, you always close it the same way every single week. So I don't want to mess it up, bro.
Well, I don't know why you stopped, bro. That was really good. I was hoping you were going to close.
Dude, I just feel like I start, you close.
All right, double close.
Let's go.
All right, guys. Hey,
let's go.
Let's go out there and make it a
Be
massive
strong,
week.
stay steadfast.
And let's go crush it. See you guys. God bless you.